And he joins us on the River Islands guest line. Brian Baldinger, presented by our proud partner, Golden State, serving the Bay Area for 3 generations. Building better starts with Golden State. When you succeed, we succeed. Visit goldenstatelumber.com. Baldy, it's Joe Spadoni, it's Joe Shasky. We're so happy to have you, obviously. I'm sure it's been a crazy week for you, Super Bowl week. And we got to be honest, we haven't really talked much about this game because of the craziness that has happened in the NBA. Have you paid attention to all what's going on? Jimmy Butler's a Warrior now. Luka Dončić is a Laker. What are you making about all this stuff happening during Super Bowl week?
We've been talking about it down in New Orleans here. I mean, I was on 2 stations in Dallas yesterday, and we talked more about Luka and how everybody got caught completely by surprise for the deal that happened with the Lakers. And so, I mean, that was the biggest star in all of Dallas, and that's kind of hard to imagine knowing, the Cowboys are in town, but he was the biggest star in all of Dallas, probably all of Texas, and now he's a Laker. The Jimmy Butler deal, we knew that something was going to happen. He was going to stay a Miami Heat, the way he was acting and some of the things that were going on. That didn't catch me as much by surprise. But, the sports world is the sports world. You're in New Orleans, you're talking about everything in the world of sports. Sometimes, just like you're talking about, Joe, like the game is almost the last thing that we discussed in some of these interviews that I've been doing over the last couple of days.
Well, Baldy, do me a favor, okay? I'm not there. I haven't thought about the NFL I'm being dead serious all week. I've been in like a sadness malaise, if you will, because it's the Chiefs and it's the Eagles. Paint the picture for me and get me fired up for Sunday. Like, what is it like in New Orleans? What has been going on? Paint the scene. I literally I've gone out of my way to not pay attention to anything that's going on down there.
Well, first of all, New Orleans just knows how to throw a party. I mean, no other city in America knows how to put a party on like New Orleans. Like, there's literally something going on in every street corner. Whether you're in the French Quarter, you're beyond the French Quarter, I don't care if you're in Kenner, Louisiana, there's a party going on. So that's good. Then the weather's been phenomenal. I mean, it's like mid-70s here. People are in T-shirts. They're in shorts. So it's great. It's great to be outside. It's great walking around. And then, the people of New Orleans, Joe, are just so inviting. They're so warm. I don't care if you're I ate breakfast yesterday morning, like in a little diner. It's been there since 1965. And it's like the who's who is in there eating. There's Mike Tannenbaum or whatever. I mean, you see somebody in every little place. And then just the traditions of New Orleans, whether it's the beignets and coffee, whether it's Mother's for breakfast. I mean, it's just, I feel like New Orleans could host a Super Bowl every year and nobody would ever get tired of it.
All right,
because you can walk to every place that you got to get to.
I love a city where you can just walk around. That's why I did love Philadelphia, because you just walk around, and what I call get into trouble in a good way, from one restaurant to the next bar to the next spot, go shopping, like whatever. Like, I love a good walking town. Who's dominated the week, Baldy? Whether it's a media person, whether it's an actor, an athlete. If you were to give me the MVP of Super Bowl week, player, non-player, it doesn't matter who would be that guy. Who's dominated the week?
I would say probably Dion. I mean, he's in town. He was at honors last night. His son's going to be a top 3 pick. He was rumored to be an NFL coach. I think Prime right now, he's got the stage for just about anything he wants to do. And so he's one of the talks of the town that you're asking me about right now. I'd have to say Deion Sanders. I saw him at the Hula Bowl a couple weeks ago. He had 6 Colorado Buffaloes playing the game. He was there. He's a Florida kid, so he was there. And honestly, everybody gravitated towards him while he was there.
Talking to Brian Baldinger here on the River Islands guest lines, Joe Spadoni alongside Joe Shasky. And speaking of actual MVPs, that was announced yesterday. And Josh Allen edging out Lamar Jackson. 27 first-place votes for Josh Allen, 23 for Lamar. Did they get it right, Baldy?
I don't want to knock somebody down to raise somebody up. They were both worthy. I hope, look, for whoever voted, I hope they didn't vote for Josh just because he doesn't have an MVP, and they didn't want Lamar to get his third. I thought Lamar was the MVP. He threw 4 interceptions in 17 games. We see quarterbacks, and some that we know for quite well, throw that in one game. He threw it an entire season, and he had a phenomenal season. They fell short to Buffalo. Honestly, I feel like all these awards should be handed out after the season is over, but that's just kind of where we're at right now with this thing.
No, it's a great point, Baldy. I kind of likened it to Jokic in the NBA. There was a little Nikola Jokic fatigue, and he had another better year than the year Joel Embiid got his, but there was so much cry out from the media, from others saying, oh, well, he doesn't deserve this, that, and the other, and it felt like there was just this fatigue, so I'm with you on that a little bit. I was actually surprised Lamar did not win it, but hey, no slight to Josh Allen. Hell of a quarterback, hell of a year. Obviously some other ones, Jaden Daniels, offensive rookie of the year. I mean, what he did was incredible. He was 1 vote shy of unanimous. Brock Bowers getting the other one. Defensive rookie of the year, Jared Verse, this, that, and the other. Defensive player of the year, Pat Surtain II. But I wanted to get your thoughts on some of the Hall of Fame inductions because we got some great ones here. Jared Allen, Eric Allen, long time on the ballot.
Loved Eric Allen.
Love Eric Allen.
Loved him.
Raider legend. Are you kidding me?
Eagles.
I know. Hey, come on. Hey,
I know.
Please. Antonio Gates, Sterling Sharp, another legend.
So happy for him.
Just your thoughts overall on some of our new Hall of Fame inductions.
Well, I have a personal connection to a couple of guys you just mentioned. I was a teammate of Eric Allen in Philadelphia. I remember in 1993, he took 4 receptions back for touchdowns that year. One beat the New York Jets up there in New York one day, and we were undefeated because of that at 4-0 to get off to a good start that year. But so EA was just a class guy. I mean, just straight class. And then he extended his career to New Orleans and to the Raiders, I think. Finished with the Raiders. But I think he had 55 interceptions. He had 8 or 9 interceptions for touchdowns. The numbers speak for itself. And then Sterling, I worked for Sterling for 7 years on NFL Playbook and some other shows. I was around him every single week for 5 months out of the year. And to this day, now we're talking about his football career, but he never talked about his football career, really. I mean, he wasn't a big, salesman like that. He had some great stories in the NFL, and obviously his brother as well. But I thought he was the most talented individual I've ever worked with in television or any part of media. He was the funniest. He was the wittiest. He was the smartest guy I worked with. And he was just a delight to be around. I texted him last night, congratulations. And he comes back to me. He's like, I'm just waiting to get one Baldy's breakdown. Can I just get one? He's just a special guy.
No, that's awesome. And obviously you think back to Shannon Sharp's Hall of Fame induction and how much that meant to him and how much he even cried for his brother because even on the stage, he said, I'm probably the only person in the Hall of Fame that's the second best player in his own family. And he was talking about his older brother, Sterling Sharp. So I'm sure he is so damn excited for him and that. And yeah, Eric Allen, as you mentioned, 54 picks, 5 forced fumbles, 7 recoveries, 9 defensive touchdowns, Joe Shasky. Just incredible Hall of Fame classes.
I mean, absolutely incredible. Baldy, let's get into the game. Let's get into the game here, all right? I mean, Mahomes is going for a three-peat. Andy Reid's going for a three-peat.
It's insane.
It is insane. It absolutely is insane. I don't want to disrespect Bill Walsh at any level because we know what his impact was far greater than just the championships. Tom Landry had crazy impact on the league. Belichick and his crazy impact, whether it's Joe Gibbs, Parcells. I mean, there's so many that we can go. Where does Andy, if they win this one and they do a three-peat and the longevity of Andy and Mahomes and the combination of the two, I mean, where do these two now stand if they can pull this off and win their 4th Super Bowl and 3 in a row?
Well, I mean, if you were going to do, the popular game of Mount Rushmore, he's on Mount Rushmore. He's the winningest coach in Eagles history. He's the winningest coach in Chiefs history.
Wow.
He might create his own legacy of winning 3 in a row. In addition to all of his wins and all the success he had in Philadelphia, 5 NFC championship games, 1 Super Bowl appearance, what he's doing in Kansas City, what he did with McNabb, what he's doing with Mahomes. this in all of that is great. But you mentioned Bill Walsh, and Mike Holmgren came from Bill Walsh, and Andy Reid came from Mike Holmgren. There's a descendancy right there amongst that, right? There was a natural tree. And Andy Reid took that very seriously, how to develop coaches and how to develop personnel people. You look at the tree that Andy has from a personnel standpoint, starting in Philadelphia, now in Kansas City, just lost another lieutenant, out to the world of, in general managers. But you look at the coaches he's put out, he's got over 10 coaches that have become head coaches, not to mention assistants and coordinators and that kind of thing. Steve Spagnuolo was coaching in NFL Europe. He was coaching the Frankfurt Galaxy when he came to Andy in Philadelphia with Jim Johnson. Jim Harbaugh was a special teams coach and wanted to become a head coach. He gave him an opportunity to coach defensive backs one year. It was his launching pad to becoming a head coach in Baltimore. Marty Morningway. You just go through Ron Rivera. You go through all the guys that Andy Reid has groomed to become head coaches. And to think that when he was plucked by Jeffrey Lurie in 1999 to be the new head coach of the Eagles, he'd been a quarterback coach and a tight ends coach. He'd never called a play in his life, but they saw something in him that, was head coaching material, and they got that right, unlike just about anybody else. And he's 25 years into this thing, guys. And honestly, I know Andy pretty good. I was at his initial press conference in 1999 in Philly and got to know him pretty well. And he doesn't have any hobbies. He doesn't want to retire. This is his hobby. Coaching football is his hobby. And he's doing it just as well now as he's ever done it. There's no slowdown. He doesn't delegate anything more than what he always has. He's on top of his game right now.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I juxtapose that with the coach on the other side, Nick Sirianni. And this is his second Super Bowl now in 3 years. And I don't think he gets the respect from a lot of people that obviously Andy Reid's won multiple Super Bowls. But even a guy like Kyle Shanahan, who's been to two as well, I think he's like Shanahan. If you were to poll people around the league, I'm taking Shanahan over Sirianni in a heartbeat. But what is it about Nick Sirianni that we don't talk about enough that makes him such a good head coach? Because the proof's in the pudding, Baldy. He's gone to 2 Super Bowls now.
Well, coaches like coaching with him. So Vic Fangio, wanted to coach with him. He made a mistake by going to Miami last year, but he was in the building 2 years ago. You look at Kellen Moore. He's probably going to be the next head coach of New Orleans. Jonathan Gannon, like coaching with him. The coach in Indianapolis. Coaches like working with Nick. He delegates a great deal. He lets them do their thing. But he's on top of it, though. And he's the son of a coach. His dad was a coach. His 2 brothers are a coach. One of his brothers is still the head coach at Washington Jefferson. When he was hired by the Eagles, they had struck out on Brandon Staley and, Arthur Smith and, different guys. And honestly, he was playing golf with other coaches in Palm Beach when he was called by the Eagles. And he came for the interview. He didn't have any suit, tie, anything. He had his golf clothes with him. And that's where they met. They met Mr. Lurie at his Palm Beach home, and that's where the interview was conducted. And they realized he's a good football coach. He knows a lot about the game. He grew up in the game, and the players respect him tremendously. So he doesn't get the respect. He doesn't get the respect in Philadelphia that he deserves, but he's not afraid to try things. They might not work all the time, but he coaches without fear, and he gets his players ready to play. I've watched every one of their games this year, 20 games this year. They look ready to play every week. A couple games, they kind of stunk it up against Tampa early in the year. But, for the most part, the team is ready to play every week.
And he's come a long way since that opening presser, Joe Shasky. I remember that. It was him, Dan Campbell, some opening pressers to forget maybe, but you know what? Don't judge a book by its cover. I'm sure Jacksonville Jaguars are hoping that the same with our guy out there, Liam Cohen now, the head coach.
Duval.
Yeah, that was a tough Duval, but he'll get back on track, Joe Shasky.
Baldy, I'm looking at Saquon Barkley and, one of the greatest free agent signings, maybe in sports, but particularly the NFL. You got Peyton Manning signing with Denver. You got Reggie White signing with the Green Bay Packers. You got Deion Sanders multiple times with the Cowboys and the Niners. If they pull this off, the Philadelphia Eagles, obviously they're going to need Jalen Hurts, and they're going to need that defense, Jalen Carter and those guys to step up. But where does this put someone like Saquon Barkley in the state of Pennsylvania if he comes back home after being a Penn State guy to win a freaking Super Bowl and he's the lead dog?
I mean, he's the face of the league. I mean, I know there's Patrick Mahomes, but, if he wins it, he's the new face of the NFL. And he's going to give every running back out there, especially in this draft coming up, more credibility than what they have been given over the last few years when they've been taking pay cuts just to stay in the league. But he's the face of the league from the standpoint of the guy is from a media standpoint. The guy never makes a mistake. I mean, he's there, he's open, he's enjoyable to be around. He's a great teammate, he's a great person on and off the field. And then he's just this uber talented player. The guys you just mentioned in free agency, whether it was Peyton or Reggie or Dion, I mean, he's in that category of greatness right now. And honestly, he could have easily broken Eric Dickerson's record if he wanted to play that Week 18 game against the Giants. And he averaged more yards per game than Eric did. And I'm a teammate of Eric. I'm not bashing. Eric is a great player all by himself. But he could have broken that record. And if he stays here in Philly for any amount of time, the offense line's not going to get any worse. Lane's coming back next year. They're all coming back. So, I mean, he has a chance to put up another 2,000. He didn't have one injury this year. He's going to go into this offseason healthy. I mean, he might have a chance to duplicate this next year.
Yeah. Baldy, I'm going to let Joe ask the question about the big-time game, but I have to ask you this one. Myles Garrett's out there. What should the Niners do to get Myles Garrett? What would he mean to play? Like, how would he and Nick Bosa look together if you could find a way to get him? Because I'll trade whatever I need to go get Myles Garrett. I think he would be unbelievable.
Well, I mean, it's going to set the record for any. I think it's going to set a record for non-quarterback trade. I'm just going to start with 2 number ones, Joe. So that's the minimum. Now you got to make the phone call, and you got to talk to Andrew Berry in Cleveland, and just see just how willing they are to part ways. But it's going to start with 2 number. I mean, Jamal Adams was 2 number ones. All the guys that and what the compensation was. But it starts there. But I think he would love the opportunity to play with Nick. You get Hargrave back. You really solidify the other defensive tackle, and you just go hunting. It's just hunting season. You just get after quarterbacks and affect them. I mean, nobody has the power of Myles Garrett in this business, including Nick. But you get 2 power rushers like that, they're going to collapse the pocket on every third down that there is. And the quarterbacks are going to be looking to get rid of the ball awfully fast if they can. It'd be the ultimate matchup. I think Nick would feel like Christmas, was every single day out there. I think Myles would feel the same way. They're both right in their prime. Absolutely in prime. I don't know what Nick is right now, but they're both right around 28 years old. They're both in their athletic prime. They both have Defensive Player of the Year next to their name. But ultimately, they won championships. And, that's what Myles wants, and that's where he wants to go. So a team that has a chance to do that.
All right, Baldy. It's time. You've been so good to us. Who's winning this game Sunday in Louisiana?
When the pairings for the playoffs came out on Sunday night, January 5th, I said that the Eagles are going to go 4-0 in the postseason. And I didn't know who they were going to play outside of their first matchup against Green Bay, but I thought they were the best team in the tournament. I thought they were the best team from week 5 on. I think they're the best defense, most complete defense. And then I think, Saquon is the MVP of this league, Offensive Player of the Year, but the MVP of the league. And I think the Chiefs can have a hard time slowing him down. And I think the Chiefs had a great record. I don't think they were a great team this year. They won a lot of games, and it's hard to go against Mahomes and Andy Reid, but I felt like the Eagles were the best team. And I think that's what we're going to see come Sunday night.
All right. I had a preseason too. I had Chiefs, Eagles. I didn't pick a winner. I just picked the matchup, and I'm very interested to see how this thing shakes out. Thank you. I have to toot my own horn sometimes, Baldy. Hey, I appreciate the time, man. All season long, you've been amazing. Whoa.
Power rank this. What is your number one, gots to have it, Super Bowl food on the table
Had to squeeze that in.
during the Super Bowl game?
Had to squeeze it in.
If you're at a party. Have to ask. It's Baldy.
Yeah. I would say, I don't think you have to overdo this here, Joe. I mean, who doesn't like, great wings? Who doesn't like great wings at a party?
Thank you.
It's finger food. Nobody really cares. Like you can eat 100 of them or you can eat 5. Either way, you just got to have them there. I feel like that's a good go-to during a Super Bowl game.
Love it.
Strong. I'm a pizza guy personally, but you can't go wrong with both. Hey, I'm
Really?
a
Pizza for
Have you heard
Super
my
Bowl?
last name? It's Spadoni. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
eating pizza for everything. Baldy, we appreciate the
See you,
time,
buddy.
man.
See you, Joe. Joe.
There you go. See you,
bro.
There you go. I appreciate it.
What
man.
is the number one? What is the number one power ranked across the board fan favorite? Gots to have it food. It doesn't have to be a main dish like a protein.
Can I go outside? It's not